What's up, everyone? Dan Palacios of Kinetic Training here at the Fit Farm. I've got Barbara Depta of Resync Products here. This is a really cool experience for me because it's not that often that I actually get to meet the owners of the companies that I'm engaging with or working with. And as you know, I do my absolute best to find really great ways to collaborate with people, and what better way than to actually have you out at the facility where I'm working. So Barbara, thank you so much for coming, first of all.
Thank you for having me.
You actually traveled from about an hour away, really, so that's a little bit of a haul, but it's not too bad, right? What can you tell us about Resync? It's a nitric oxide and collagen blend, but what does that actually do for us as athletes, as humans?
Yeah, so first and foremost, happy for you to be here, and I'm happy to be here with you, and thank you for inviting me.
Oh, of course.
We're all going through an interesting time in our life, and it's, I think, a valuable time to take a moment and think what we eat and what we consume, how it impacts us, and what's better, cleaner to take our health and performance to another level, right? So initially, I want to take a step back. Before we go to collagen, I created just the Resync Recovery, right?
See, I hadn't realized that.
That was the first product I've made when I was traveling with an NFL team. And my point was I want the guys to recover faster, but in as natural way as possible, right? We know they need amino acids. We know they need protein. We know they need carbs. But I'm not a big fan of the fast carbs because the body is saturated with it in our daily diet.
Right, yeah.
And I really cared about what can I use for recovery that they can actually also use for energy. Pre-workout and post-workout. Ingredients that can be useful for both, but are really underestimated, and nobody thought to put them together for post-workout, right? So when I started to talk to NFL coaches and trainers, they got it. They're like, yeah, that makes sense. So I decided to put natural blend together that it's composed of red spinach, not a green spinach. So it's actually standardized to 9% of natural nitrates, which no vegetable on any market, no extract from vegetables, no powders from vegetables are actually standardized. Red spinach is the highest. Beets are only standardized to 1.5, 2. People are all about beets. They're great. Yes, they have additional valuable than just natural nitrates. They have a really nice profile of polyphenols. But if I had to choose between red spinach extract and beet, which one is more powerful? I'm going with red spinach extract.
Perfect, yeah.
But if you combine them together and then you add exactly polyphenols as we did from aronia berry, and then I added anti-inflammatory properties, turmeric, ginger, mango extract to support microcirculation, and then inulin probiotic and hyaluronic acid. I wanted to approach that connective tissue from the blood flow, but also we know hyaluronic is super important for connective tissue fascia, right?
Yeah.
Fascia actually is part of the cells that are made in fascia, or there are two different cells. They make hyaluronic, and we need it.
Right.
And in different places in our body, we have more and less hyaluronic, like plantar fascia even, right? Or fascia lata in our hip.
The TFL,
yeah, has need for movement and hyaluronic acid.
It's a major problem area for a lot of people who sit all day.
But when you even think about that, ankle has 3 times more of hyaluronic than our TFL area. When you think about this, it's why it needs glide. Glide that we don't pay attention to. And everything happens from the ground up, right? That's what made me think about the fitness tool that I know today we will not talk about, but it's all connected. So blood flow was my key. I wanted to support blood flow post-workout.
Which is huge right now, yeah.
Everything was about, blood flow. And I started to think about this in 2015. The product came end of 2017, but it was solely for NFL, MLB, top athletes that I knew that they will do what I say if it's based on research and it delivers the results. Little we know, it became really well, I would say, respected product on the market for general population because all of us need nitric oxide.
Absolutely.
And one way for us to get it, and actually very important way, is through a proper diet.
Absolutely, yeah.
And after age of 40, we all decrease. Men, unfortunately, faster than women. That's the one of the,
Rusting from the inside out.
But it's really not that challenging to take a 1 scoop of something that is standardized, well tested, to really increase and support the
Well
levels.
sourced as well, and that's an important factor to
Oh.
remember is the sourcing of it as well.
Thank
yeah?
you for mentioning. So, I'm a very particular what I do and how I do it. The people that know me, they know that. They say that I have a tendency to piss people off because of how particular and precise I am. And money at this point didn't really matter. I will give you an example. There's many beet powders, and most of them come from China. They are not that good in a quality, but people don't know that because they don't purchase them, right? The same happens with turmeric. Turmeric is everywhere, but turmeric is one of the most, I want to say, fake ingredients, if we can use a word, let's just use fake, on the market. And some companies that are saying that their product is more bioavailable use actually synthetic unhealthy things because they found that a little bit of turmeric combined with something unhealthy will absorb whatever is in the powder, the turmeric, faster. However, there are other ingredients with the turmeric being absorbed, and it's really not beneficial to the human body.
It's almost counteracting the effect of the turmeric.
It happens there.
Yeah.
And then the amount of curcuminoids that we need, because it's the curcumin from turmeric that we need from the rhizome, is non-existent in majority of the products. People don't know that. They say, oh, it's turmeric, I'm going to take it.
Right.
It's a little bit more into that. There's more science into that.
Yeah.
So, you know,
And certainly the quality and love behind actually taking care of that
Matters.
product, growing it, developing it. It's not a genetically modified, mass-produced version. It is in good soil. It's being taken care of
Huge.
properly. And then after it's actually been grown and produced, it's not being overly manufactured.
Yeah, so the manufacture process actually matters. Like,
Absolutely, yeah.
another perfect example. Aronia is not a very well-known berry, as you may know. Even
yeah.
though initially it was grown in North America, I'm originally from Poland, born and raised. Aronia is very well tested in Eastern Europe. I would say even, you know, a little bit Western. Germany, Austria, Poland, Russia. Those 4 countries, I would say, are huge on that berry because we've tested for cardiovascular health. We tested for different challenges. Now studies are starting to come up. We did our own study. We did a human study, as I shared with you, in Canada. Results were not even revealed yet, but the results are fantastic.
Yeah.
Not yet, but it gave me goosebumps because I didn't even know how good of a product I created initially, right? It was just, let's help my NFL guys.
Yeah.
Let's get them back to the, you know, to the facility. Monday is a day off, but Tuesday they're sharp, fresh,
Well, you
let's
went out
ready.
of your way to solve a problem, and look what happens when you go to try and actually help people. So, on that
Exactly.
note, you know, we in the sports performance world, in the training world, it's always fun to start with athletes and focus on athletes and, you know, how things help them, or, you know, the best athletes, we use them as endorsement tools and all that
Sure.
different stuff. But ultimately, I love to tell my personal training clients, my recreational athletes, my moms, my dads, life is a sport.
Yes, it is.
And you have to treat it as a sport because there's so many different activities that you partake in subconsciously on a daily basis. You don't even think about it, and it's very highly repetitive. Your responses and reactions, and to those ultimately what are stressors and various types of stimuli.
Absolutely.
Whether it's positive, negative, it's all a stressor.
Yeah.
Exercise is the same, and it has an internal impact that actually can cause more harm than good.
Yeah.
We've all seen injuries in the gym, and I would say that in many ways, laymen are more at risk in that way. But
Yeah.
Ultimately, there's an athlete within all of us, because we all do partake in those repetitive activities. So for the average person who doesn't understand all of the internal science,
Sure.
what is it that nitric oxide and all of these anti-inflammatory substances that you've put into the products that you know and love, and I know and love? I mean, I took it, I'm an avid user of pre-workouts of all different kinds. I've taken it literally every supplement under the sun. This definitely tastes better than a lot of the supplements that I've
That
had
was
in
another
my
thing
time.
that took us time.
Is getting the taste down, which is fantastic. But what I noticed on a personal level, being that I am very in tune with what my body does, is I definitely was able to back off of my caffeine.
Yes.
Why is it that nitric oxide and collagen and the anti-inflammatory substances in the recovery product, why do they produce that somewhat energetic result?
So the most important one for everyone is to know that nitric oxide is a molecule that, just like oxygen, we can really not live without. And we produce it internally, but again, within an age, it decreases. And it's a vasodilator, right? So it opens up our veins, it's supposed to deliver oxygen blood flow to the areas of need. So that's why I thought, listen, we don't know, your body then and my body is completely different, right? What will work for you may not work for me. We're genetically completely different, creatures, and some stimulants will work for you different than for me. But it's interesting you said that, you could take a little bit of a step back from a coffee. It's because it's supposed to be the natural stimulant, but without giving you that alertness.
Jolt, yeah.
Exactly. The entire point was, let's do it in a natural way. And I love stability. I do. I love improvement, but I love stability. And I don't like to see in any performance, and especially
peaks and valleys.
I hate that. I just, and we know that something is not responding well, right? There is instability, and we just have to find out where it comes from. So I wanted just a stable, way of delivering natural energy to people. So when you open the vasodilation effect happens, I wanted to also deliver the right nutrients who could penetrate, yes, and in some ways we are saying theoretically, because everyone reacts differently. But the point was, let's send the good ingredients, anti-inflammatory, the turmeric, the ginger, the curcuminoids, right, to the tissue, and we have so many tissues, and muscle is a one tissue,
right.
So potentially it can exactly decrease the inflammation caused by physical activity.
Absolutely, yeah.
And, some coaches have speculated with me, they're like, Barbara, so should we, not take it post immediately, because we know inflammation is caused by exercise and we need it. Inflammation is a healthy thing, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Let's say
Natural
it.
process.
Absolutely. We need to, put the flame down.
Right.
But when the flame becomes
too big, too
that's
much.
a problem.
It's no longer a controlled burn.
Correct. And it's not natural anymore, and it's not even just healthy in any
right.
shape or form. So, I always say this, listen, work with some of the best NFL players, PGA Tour players. Some MLB were sent to me, some maybe NBA, here and there. But the most important part, what I've realized about athletes, they all want to be on the next level. So guess what? They will bring the A game,
right.
mentally as well as physically. So emotionally, they are in such a challenged already level,
right.
that there is the stress additional added on the connective tissue. Forget about the mechanical load, right? Just think also of the emotion, and we
Absolutely.
know
The
our
pressure,
connective tissue stores emotions in our body.
Yeah.
It impacts our posture, it impacts pain, it impacts the way how we behave, how we speak, everything.
There's definitely a correlation between your emotional state and your pain grade. There's plenty of great studies to support that.
Absolutely. And I think it's, even what we're going through then right now, the epidemic of coronavirus, it's beautiful to finally see, and I've studied maybe fascia since 2010, and nitric oxide specifically from 2015, because that's when I started to travel across the world to learn more from different experts. But what is beautiful to realize that different health professionals start to appreciate the immune balance in our cells, how our immune system impacts rest of our body.
Absolutely, yeah.
And how our cells have immunity, and how our absolutely nervous system is impacted first, and we all know that, and how that impacts rest of our connective tissue.
100%. Definitely, it definitely has a huge impact on your fight or flight response, right? Some kind of stimulus is presented to you. How does your body respond? If it's scary, if it makes you angry, if it makes you excited, those are all going to essentially produce some level of a different result depending on the individual and how they respond to that level of stimulus. So this being what it is somewhat of what I would consider a platform product that most anyone can use.
Absolutely.
It's a great tool to me, not just for reducing your internal and nutritional level of stress, but also, if you have the right intention behind it,
yes,
reduce your emotional and psychological stress, because we are introducing more oxygen to the system.
Correct.
We're removing some of that load on the central nervous system, which controls the fight or flight response. And if we are putting intentional biomechanical work, intentional breath work, intentional thought and mindset work into it, I think we're creating a much more holistic view of
Absolutely.
how to utilize a product like Resync. And that's a lot of what you do as well, correct? You're a flexibility mobility coach. And how did your experience as a flexibility and mobility coach begin to breed this world of supplementation? Because really a lot of mobility and flexibility coaches don't love supplements.
Correct. So, super good question. Thank you for actually asking it. When the first thought, when I was working hands-on or a lot of the athletes, and then we would do in a group movement, everything was always breath and a touch. But I always allowed them to do the work to themselves. Sometimes, of course, they couldn't do
Everything,
on a table and stretching, fascia stretch therapy. But I taught them how to move and how to connect the breath together. And I wanted to make a supplement, and it may be cliche for a lot of people, but this was my intention. Give them something that would give them the same or similar value without me being there and physically touching them. Because with a touch...
Empower them with a tool.
Now we know that, different touch mechanical load, we know, causes different cells to be activated. For example, fibroblasts need the load and a stretch, but they create collagen, right? So there is a different pressure as, coach you may give someone that would generate more hyaluronic acid versus it would support nitric oxide.
Right.
So different touch has a different purpose. And for me, again, as a structural balance coach, I always think what happens from the ground up. And we need balance. And we need blood flow. We need naturally energy. And it didn't exist. I was traveling with the team up to 2018, and then I decided 100% to develop my product and be the CEO, be the leader, and teach my team why I did it. Initially, it was one group of people, very needy. We love them, right? Athletes, professional athletes. But they teach us so much too.
Right.
And, I've learned many lessons from the best athletes I've worked with. But one is really, you can't do it all by yourself.
Right.
You need a team. I'm a former, team player, basketball player, as I shared with you. Nobody would think that I was a basketball player.
I didn't pick her for it.
I'm only 5'4". But you never can take the heart of desire of competition.
Right.
And as, also an international immigrant, I'm going to say it as I'm looking, never underestimate the heart of immigrant. Never. You can't.
Right. Yeah,
because if we have the right mindset,
the desire
if we have
to succeed,
there's nothing that is going to stop me.
Right.
I will get no. So yes, I will elaborate and go around it why I got it.
Right.
And the next time I will get yes. But I need to have the tools, I need to have the right mental stability, right? And the proper intention. And it cannot be focused around you. It needs to be the intention of helping other people.
And that's one of the biggest aspects that I think that Resync, among all of the other stuff that I work with, there's plenty of different really great products out there, but especially in the supplement world, the fact that you've put that essence, that intent of your entire life leading up to this point makes a huge impact on me as a coach, understanding the level of personal investment you have in this, and most importantly that your intention is completely and totally to help people, and you will not compromise on the level of quality and value. And really and truly I thank you for making the product and just giving me the opportunity to be a part of what we can do to coach people and help people to actually utilize it. So thank you so much for coming out and doing this, but I'm really excited to continue bringing the Resync product line and the recovery line out to the public.
Thank you.
Not just our professional athletes, but our regular people who really, I think at this point in the current state of the world, need it most.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is where we're really going to see the biggest strides, is helping people to understand how something like Resync can impact not only your nutrition, but also your emotional understanding of the world and your internal balance.
And I think, we can loop it back then to what you said. We're all athletes. Some of us just a little bit more sedentary than others, right? We do the same motion in a different tempo and with a different power. I always say that. And our body is made of the same collagen. It's made of the same protein. It's of the same bones. It's just how we treat it and how we respect it.
Right.
Because we have to respect our own body. Because if you don't, I don't, who's going to respect our body? Somebody is going to abuse it, right? So knowing that our body is made of a protein, and collagen, after actually water, is the second biggest component of fascia, the connective tissue intertwining between muscles, ligaments, tendons, right? It was something that I wanted to make sure that, again, could be supported with the nitric oxide proprietary blend, because everyone needs energy, everyone needs the right protein, not just whey, not just casein. It depends who you are,
different
right?
kinds of protein out there.
There's all kinds of different protein. By the end of the day, you need to have a full spectrum of your amino acids, because that's what comes down to, right? So some of the really strength coaches that I spoke with, they're like, what we love to do is to take a scoop of whey and a scoop of collagen and put it together, because they're getting the full spectrum of the aminos.
A true amino profile,
They get the, nitric oxide boost of natural proprietary blend versus just L-arginine or L-citrulline. And from studies we know, on a long-term chronically, L-arginine specifically in itself, it's not that good for our heart and for brain function. And you do need to take a massive amount of L-arginine with L-citrulline together for a to really have the impact. But then I'm really all about feel, but I had to learn over years how to appreciate something that I know is doing the work underneath the skin. Because we live in a very superficial world. Let's admit it, right? We all know that. But let's be in peace with it, but also acknowledge the fact that it's time to think what happens underneath the skin.
What is on the inside will eventually present on the outside, and if it comes out sideways, you're not going to be very happy.
Exactly. But it doesn't have to be, in the way of a cost of connective tissue where caffeine is penetrating instead of blood in your system. And we know that caffeine can be too much, as of anything, detrimental, and can vanish some minerals that are super important to our bone mineralization, right? So it's all about balance. But as you said, initially it was professional athletes, and I knew if I can help them, it's most likely going to help the general population, because you absolutely said it in the beginning. Our general population is the one that needs more antioxidants, and they will react much better than an athlete who already is most likely eating clean,
fine-tuned
for
the most part.
He will get the definitely benefit, but the general population will feel more, maybe quicker,
more drastic,
faster. So, everyone will react differently. I always say, please do not expect that I don't know, you are going to jump,
you're not going to
a
be
foot
cured
higher. You will not be cured. Your hair will not become gorgeous and thicker 3 times. That takes months. And this is exactly, unfortunately, comes to you and me and other coaches sharing with everyone. Anything valuable
takes time.
It's
an investment.
And progress, if it's there, it's seen. And we were just speaking before we turned on the camera. 1% every day. It's a fantastic progress in 100 days.
Absolutely, and it's an investment in time and energy, and when you do take that intentional time and energy on a daily basis, consistently, it doesn't have to be an hour at a time. It could be 5 minutes at a time.
Absolutely.
But it can make a huge impact if that 5 minutes is efficient and effective, and that's one of my biggest takeaways from everything that I work with, particularly Resync. So again, I want to thank you so much for coming out. Your time is extremely valuable to me, especially with all I've just learned in just these last few minutes. And just make sure everyone, please just go check out resyncproducts.com and stay tuned for more information about the Resync products and what we're going to be doing with the coaching system, because there's a lot of other amazing stuff to be coming out soon. But we'll see you next time. Live kinetically.
Thank you for having us.